Good evening. I would like to call to order today's May 18th Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting into order. We would like to welcome those that are in attendance as well as those that are watching at home or streaming online. Also want to take time to recognize City Director Irma Hendricks, who's joining us via online. Grateful she graced her presence last week with us, and we know she's back at her usual spot. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Director Hendricks. Director Richardson.
Present.
Director Webb. Here. Director Peck. Director Wright. Here. Director Wyrick. Present. Director Compuris.
Present.
Director Phillips.
Here.
Director Adcock. Present. Vice Mayor Hines.
Present.
Mayor Scott.
Present. We'll now have our invocation from Director B.J. Wyrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for allowing us to meet in this public forum to do the people's business. We're very thankful for our staff, our police officers, our firemen, our public works, our folks that work in the field to remove debris. They're very special to us, and I want you to take care of them as best you can. We're thankful for everybody on this board, our mayor, the city manager, the city attorney, and also we're thankful for all the folks that are in the audience today to talk to us about the issues that are coming before us. Be with us as we make those decisions and make sure that we make the right decisions that's good for everybody. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. May we all please stand for a pledge of allegiance. United States of America, to the republic. I want to take time to briefly share some information about our now second annual Rock Academy graduation. Last October, we launched a civic engagement course for Little Rock residents called Rock Academy, which stands for Residents Obtaining Community Knowledge. This is normally a 6-week course, but this spring it was 7 weeks because one of those weeks they also virtually gathered to watch and discuss the State of the City address. The other 6 sessions were as follows: Government 101, Dollars and Cents, Safety in the City, Little Rock Building Blocks, Living in Little Rock, and Community Care. Each week, the residents hear from Little Rock Department directors and other city staff while asking questions and offering insight. They also have weekly homework assignments. Examples include ride the Rock Region Metro, download the 311 app, and find a park nearest your house. Tonight, our second inaugural class graduates, many from the class are here in person. We will also have a few joining us virtually. Before we present the class members their graduation certificates, we will hear first from a couple of the class members to share their experience. Mr. Derek Brooks. After Mr. Derek Brooks, it will be Geneva Galloway and Wesley Pruitt. Mr. Brooks,
Hello, sir.
how are you doing today?
Phenomenal. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners and board of directors. I'm sorry. This has been a great opportunity for me to be a part of this wonderful platform, this wonderful class. I've learned so much. You get to learn a lot of the things that goes on behind closed doors and how our city operates. And so it's been a great benefit for me. And I've learned a lot on how our city works, and I'm looking forward to being more involved and being more a part. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff. and everyone that put this class together.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Mr. Brooks. Ms. Galloway?
Oh, thank you so much, Mayor. Hello, everyone else. It's nice to see you. My name is Geneva Galloway. I work for UA Little Rock, and I am part of the second class of Rock Academy. They asked me to come up here and tell you guys why I signed up for Rock Academy. I serve on my neighborhood association. I live in the Broadmoor area, which is part of the University District. And as you might imagine, when you work for a neighborhood association, you deal with the city a lot. And so when I learned about Rock Academy, I thought this is just the perfect opportunity for me to learn more about what our city has to offer. But it ended up being so much more beneficial than just that, because I think the coolest part about Rock Academy is just getting to hear from my fellow residents, my neighbors from all over the city about problems that they have, but even more importantly, the solutions that they have. It was really neat. It was a really awesome opportunity, not to mention getting to meet all the leadership from the city. It really puts things into perspective about how much work and how hard it is to run a city of our size. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that came and spoke to us and shared their knowledge with us, and keep doing the Rock Academy because it's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Galloway. Mr. Pruitt? Mr. Wesley Pruitt?
Yeah, hello. Good evening, folks. My name is Wes Pruitt. I live in Ward 1. So I want to start by thanking Kendra Pruitt, Scott Carter, and the rest of the mayor's team for the work they put in to put together Rock Academy. It was pretty impressive, all of the access to all the different initiatives and programs the city puts on, and I really applaud them for taking the time to seek out active engagement from the city of Little Rock. So I am not from Little Rock originally, but I have lived here for the last 4 years, and I'm a lifelong Arkansan. As a lifelong Arkansan, Little Rock has kind of always been seen, in my opinion, as the political, economic, and cultural engine for the entire state of Arkansas. It is kind of the only city with the resources and the mandate to be a leader in the state and to be the best of what Arkansas can be. When I moved to Little Rock, I wanted to find a way to kind of engage with Little Rock and find a way to help the city see this vision. I wanted to find the best way to plug in to make Little Rock a kind of a dynamic, a resilient, and equitable city. So what I found most interesting about Rock Academy and kind of its biggest selling point is that I kind of found out that there are not just a few people that want to do that, but a lot of people who share that vision that Little Rock can be bigger, better, and a lot more. One of the coolest parts about Rock Academy was that the cohort represented a really interesting cross-section of what Little Rock is. We had people of various races, ages, political philosophies, and I think all 7 wards were represented. And all of that cross-section of Little Rock were united in the idea that they thought that they could do something to make Little Rock a better place for themselves and for their neighbors. I thought it was pretty inspiring that a lot of people saw the potential in the city government to do that. So it's really apparent to me through this Rock Academy experience that Little Rock's residents deeply care and deeply understand the issues that their communities face, and they have really big ideas to solve them. I want to close by encouraging the mayor's office, and the city board to find ways to continue to engage the public and all that you do through programs like Rock Academy and many others. It's pretty apparent to me that Little Rock's people are the greatest resource Little Rock has. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pruitt. Before we get started with the presentation, I want to take time to share appreciation to Kendra Pruitt and Scott Carter, who really have been leading this effort and really coordinating all the members of the department directors to present. I do know there have been a number of city board members that have also attended and participated as well. We share that appreciation. But this doesn't come easy in the planning and the coordination and the execution of a 6 to 7 week long process on community engagement, where we truly are helping our residents obtain community knowledge to be more engaged and more present in city government and in the city of Little Rock as we develop, as we all focus to unite, grow, and transform together to be the best city and the best version of ourselves.
Mayor, we give a round of applause to all those who put this together and was involved.
Sure thing. Director, we'll go to two directors and then we'll do the certificates, but Director Computers?
I even raised my hand.
I'm very grateful.
Antoine taught me. I remembered. Two things. Well, first of all, I think congratulate you on doing this. I think it's a great program. Scott and Kendra, you're all doing a great job. Two suggestions. One is, I think that it would be helpful for the people that are in the academy to have the opportunity to ask directly questions to the city board. So there might be something that included in the curriculum on how you do things. The second thing is, and this will be very difficult for Scott and Kendra to do, but I would like some way to hear the feedback from what they're saying. We're teaching them about what's going on in the city, but we're not learning their thoughts. And I don't know how to do that, but you know, I guess I could go to each meeting and listen and be quiet. But if y'all could figure out some way to get feedback to us on what the thoughts are in the community, that would help all of us. It's a shame to have people that are taking their time, going to these meetings, listening to what we said, and we're not hearing their ideas. And so that would be a challenge I'd give Kendra and Scott on that, how to do that. And there might be an opportunity for a formal presentation, or at least for some of us to be available for questions from the group. So that's my thoughts. So thank you.
Director Wyrick?
Well, Mayor, I have an item that I
Oh,
want
well-
to talk about. So you kind of caught me off guard.
Okay, I'll come back to you, 'cause we're
Okay,
not done
yeah,
yet.
there's something on the grouped items that,
I'll come back to you.
address. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
But I do appreciate this program. I think it's a great program.
Thank you so much.
And I'm available to come and talk to the group if they want me to.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Ms. Pruitt, if you would, I know we're going to do the certificate ceremony.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Board, for allowing an opportunity for us to continue to engage with the residents. Thank you, Director Webb, for attending one of the sessions, and I want to extend the offer to all of the board members. If you would like to attend, you're welcome to do so. We have several of the graduates here in person and a few online, but we'll go through the list of the graduates now. Noah Adams. Lori Andrews. Derek Brooks. Kristen Dane. Geneva Galloway. Dima Hamaday. Michael David Harris. Chastity Hicks. Britt Johnson. Wes Pruitt. Margaret Young. And virtually, if you look at on your screens, we have Cindy and Rodney Long, Kevin Patterson, and a few that were also graduates but not able to attend. We had Christina Lee Hopkins, Kimberly Anthony, Willie Brooks, Yolanda Dreer, Aline Higgins, Loretta Reck, Emily Cooper Yates, Taylor Enoch Stevens. Thank you all for being a part of Rock Academy.
Let's give the graduates another round of applause. We have 3 modifications for tonight's agenda. Item 2 is being deferred until June 1st, 2021 at staff's request, and items 19 and 20 are being deferred until June 1st, 2021 at the applicant's request.
So moved, Mayor.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion from Vice Mayor Hines and second from Director Richardson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of a resolution to set June 1st, 2021 as the date of public hearing on the appeal of the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial of a planned zoning district titled Bark Avenue LLC PCD located at 7820 Cantrell Road in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with CHF Contractors Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $97,000 to provide labor and materials for the construction of ADA walks and other improvements at the Rebsamen Tennis Center, and for the purposes a resolution to transfer the title of property located at 3104 West 13th Street from the city of Little Rock, Arkansas to Cross Property Group LLC to be used for neighborhood revitalization programs, and for the purposes a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Streamworks Mitigation Services LLC in amount not to exceed $72,845.14 to purchase wetland mitigation credits for the Briarwood Ditch Project Phase 2, and for the purposes a resolution to approve this extension of sewer services outside the city limits to CF BAT LIT LLC at a Delaware limited liability company and owner of certain property located in Pulaski County, Arkansas, to authorize entry into a pre-annexation sewer service agreement, and for the purposes a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an agreement with Today's Power Incorporated for the sale of approximately 80 acres of land located in the city of Little Rock, Pulaski County, Arkansas, by the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, for the benefit of the Little Rock Port Authority to Today's Power, and for the purposes a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into agreement with the Little Rock Municipal Airport Commission to provide aircraft rescue and firefighting services at the Little Rock National Airport, and for the purposes a resolution to make appointment to the Central Arkansas Library Systems Board of Directors, and for the purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion from Director Adcock and a second from Vice Mayor Hines. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Director Wyrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you have any cards on item 10?
Do not.
Okay, I wanted to ask that before I make a motion. Item 10, I've been in contact with some of the community folks in Southwest and also with Director Richardson, and they would like an opportunity to meet with this applicant on item number 10. So I'd like to propose that we table this for a month to give them time to meet with the applicant.
Second.
Director Wyrick, we do have two that we do have two from Jacqueline Hunt and Pamela Bingham.
Okay. Can we go ahead and hear from them then, and I'll withdraw my motion until after we hear from them?
Yes, I'll go ahead and read. They
Okay.
have them read. It says, good afternoon. I'm a resident of Southwest Little Rock for the past 28 years. I'm also a member of the Upper Baseline Neighborhood Association. I'm against the ATV tire shop operating on Baseline Road. I don't see it being a part of the positive development in Southwest Little Rock. Southwest currently has an abundance of a specific type of food truck, existing tire shops, beauty supply stores, tobacco shops, and car washes. We, Southwest Little Rock, we do not need another tire shop. Where are the plans for bistro shops for our elderly and disabled? Where are the recreational areas for our youth? Where are the additional shopping opportunities for the community? Why should residents of Southwest Little Rock have to spend money in West Little Rock or Bryan or Benton? Our area deserves development that will create jobs and beautify the area. Our youth deserve to see the changes, which will encourage change within them. I'm asking that you seriously reconsider the approval of the ATV shop in Southwest. I do not see how it will benefit our community. Thank you, Jacqueline Hunt. All right. Greetings. In response to the above item that is scheduled to go before the board on Tuesday, May 28th, on February 9th, 2021, the Upper Baseline Windermere Neighborhood Association held a meeting with the client and his representative. Questions and concerns were addressed. We informed the client and his representative that the association is in opposition of the change request and proposed business. The client and representative were unable to make a concise decision on the operation of the property. It started out as an ATV repair and storage shop, which the community will support, to a wheel and rim shop, to an accessory shop. This business will offer multiple services that a tire, wheel, and accessory shop provide, and there are approximately 10 tire shop establishments in the Southwest community, which includes at least 4 on Baseline Road. Our community is saturated with these businesses, and we prefer not to have any more. The business owner currently occupies the Super Power Sports at 9010 Hilero Springs Road and has purchased this property as a second location across the street from Baseline Elementary School and between a church and laundromat. We do welcome new businesses in our community. We are aware that the owners have either purchased the building location or have a lease agreement with the owner. As residents, we are hoping the community can attract business establishments and owners that will improve the quality of life in the community, invest in the community, employ residents in the community, and bring businesses that the community is not saturated with. Again, we hope you would all take all the information above when providing your vote on this matter and vote in opposition of the change request. A letter was submitted to Little Rock Planning and Development on April the 7th, 2021. If you have questions, please feel free to contact me, Pamela Bingham. All right.
Are we going to entertain a motion now, Mayor?
I don't believe we have a motion yet. Director Wyrick.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to table it for 1 month so they can work with the applicant at this location.
Understand there'll be a motion from Director Wyrick for 1 month, motion to table for 1 month.
Second.
There's a second from Director Richardson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would.
You also, if we're reading, you also received an item on,
Yeah, you can read those. I was just reading those two
okay, on
particular
item
ones.
11, even though it's on the grouped items, we received a correspondence on 11.
Mayor.
1 second. We're on item number 10. Before we go to those group items, Director Wright.
I wanted a presentation on number 12.
All right. Director Adcock.
I had a question on number 10 before the vote, but since I wasn't acknowledged, I'll just drop it.
It wasn't that you weren't acknowledged. There was a motion on the floor and that motion proceeded. Now we'll move forward since item 10 has been moved. Madam Clerk, would you would read item number 11? Well, we got questions since it is grouped items. We'll start off with a presentation on item number 11. Number 12, is it 12, Director Wright, or 11?
12.
12. Director Collins.
I believe it was supposed to be the applicant, Mayor, that I wanted to hear from since it had been so long. Are they here?
Jeremiah Russell is here, the applicant. Is that who you would like to hear from, or from Director Collins as a presentation? So the applicant.
I wanted to know
Which-
if this is the same entity that was coming from North Little Rock, and what type of vehicles that was of a concern for the community and me. And I did meet them, I guess it was 2019, been a long time ago.
Director Wright, would you like to hear from Director Collins without applicant?
I said the applicant.
We want to make
Thank
sure.
you.
We wanted to make sure. Mr. Russell?
Yes, sir. I'm Jeremiah Russell with Rogue Architecture, representing the applicant.
Okay, is the applicant here?
They are not. I'm representing them.
Okay. Do we have any renderings or of what the facilities are going to look like?
No, ma'am. This was just a change of use. So the building is currently in design.
Well, if there's an architect involved, I'm sure it's going to comply with all of our city standards as well as our landscape ordinance as well. And I can't believe you would design a building and put junk cars there. So maybe my fears are.
I would certainly hope not.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm cool, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wright. All right.
Oh. I'm sorry, the applicants are here.
Okay, that's, yeah. I remember talking to you all. I mean, this has seemed like a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
And you were moving from North Little Rock over, and we had talked, and you had meant to come to the neighborhood association, and I think COVID hit and just killed everything.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had assured me that you were bringing to the neighborhood something that was going to really raise the standard along the corridor, if I remember correctly, but it's been quite a while.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Okay, as I said last week, I have no objection. I think the zoning needs to be what you're trying to do. My concern was we had an applicant in years past to try to come and bring junk cars that had been wrecked and put them on that corridor, and the neighborhood was very upset. So you're not doing anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the group items.
Mayor, do you want me to read the
Yes,
communication for 11, or do you want to read the items through first?
read the items first, and then we'll
Okay.
come to that.
All right. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled 10,115 Rodney Parham Road, conceptual PCD, located at 10,115 Rodney Parham Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Posh Automotive PCD, located at 8900 and 8916 Colonel Glenn Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned industrial district titled Cows and Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority Solar Development PID, located at 6700 Fish Dam Pike, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas, ordinance number 21,984 of April the 20th, 2021, to increase the amount for the upgrade of the extension of the service agreement with Motorola Solutions Incorporated for the city's radio infrastructure equipment utilized by the Communications Division, and for the purposes, an ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to amend Little Rock, Arkansas, ordinance number 21,821 of December the 17th, 2019, to approve a $64,245.37 increase to the sole source ordinance approved for the agreement with governmentjobs.com Incorporated, doing business as NeoGov, to include the purchase of the Learn module and the job posting expansion for a revised amount not to exceed $135,000 plus applicable taxes and fees, and for the purposes. An ordinance to adopt pursuant to Act 110, 112. That's a different title. Hold on a second.
Mayor, while she's doing that, number 16, everybody has the redrafted ask that was made after consultation with the ABC. So it's the same thing, it's just slightly different.
An ordinance to approve the action of the Lieutenant Walter E. Parker, Veterans of Foreign Affairs, Post 1316, located at 2304 South Arch Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, in filing an application for operation as a private club permitted from the Arkansas Alcohol Beverage Control Division of the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration to comply with Arkansas Code Section 3-9-222A1 to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code, Section 22-34 of 1988 to clarify when a child must be accompanied by an adult in a public restroom facility to declare an emergency and for the purposes. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled 10,115 Rodney Parham Road, conceptual PCD, located at 10,115 Rodney Parham Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Posh Automotive PCD, located at 8900 and 8916 Colonel Glenn Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned industrial district titled Cowles and Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority Solar Development PID, located at 6700 Foos Dam Pike. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 21,984 to increase the amount for the upgrade of the extension of the service agreement with Motorola Solutions Incorporated for the city's radio infrastructure equipment utilized by the Communications Division. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 21,821 to approve a $64,245.37 increase to the sole source ordinance approved for agreement with governmentjobs.com Incorporated, doing business as NeoGov, to include the purchase of the Learn module and job posting expansion for a revised amount not to exceed $135,000 plus applicable taxes and fees. An ordinance to approve the action of the Lieutenant Walter E. Parker, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 1316, located at 2304 South Arch Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, in filing an application for operation as a private club permitted from the Arkansas Alcohol Beverage Control Division of the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration to comply with Arkansas Code 3-9-222A1 to declare an emergency. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code Section 22-34 of 1988 to clarify when a child must be accompanied by an adult in a public restroom facility to declare an emergency. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second. There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled 10,115 Rodney Parham Road, conceptual PCD, located at 10,115 Rodney Parham Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Posh Automotive PCD, located at 8900 and 8916 Colonel Glenn Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned industrial district titled Cowles and Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority Solar Development PID, located at 6700 Foos Dam Pike. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 21,984 to increase the amount for the upgrade of the extension of the service agreement with Motorola Solutions Incorporated for the city's radio infrastructure equipment utilized by the Communications Division. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 21,821 to approve a $64,245.37 increase to the sole source ordinance approved for approved for the agreement with governmentjobs.com Incorporated, doing business as NeoGov, to include the purchase of the Learn module and job posting expansion for a revised amount not to exceed $135,000 plus applicable taxes and fees. An ordinance to approve the action of the Lieutenant Walter E. Parker, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 1316, located at 2304 South Arch Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, in filing an application for operation as a private club permitted from the Arkansas Alcohol Beverage Control Division of the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration to comply with Arkansas Code Section 3-9-222A1 to declare an emergency. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code Section 22-34 to clarify when a child must be accompanied by an adult in a public restroom facility, to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. Are there any questions from members of the board? Madam Clerk, do you have any emails that are against any of the grouped items? All of the grouped items that I have agenda cards for are all 4.
I have one against for item 11.
Please read item 11 that is against.
Okay. This property is near the intersection of Rodney Parham Road and Breckenridge. The developer telephoned me to report his plan to put a car wash on this site. He explained drivers would stay in their vehicle and drive through. Free vacuums would be available. There would be no oil change bay. He said the property does touch Grassy Flat Creek a bit. Said the car wash would not put any water in the creek and would recycle 80% of its water through drains. Said he is leaving a 100-foot buffer at the back of the property for light sound protection for the houses back there. My concerns are as follows. There's already a drive-through car wash at 9500 Rodney Parham Road, Zips. I don't see how 2 car washes within a half-mile distance of each other is progress, or how it would benefit the citizens of this city. As Grassy Flat Creek touches this property and flows to Rock Creek, which flows to Fish Creek, I have concerns about water contamination. I request this, before I read this, this was read at the Planning Commission, and she just wanted the same one, so it's going to refer to the Planning Commission.
No
But
need
it
to.
just says, I request if the Planning Commission approves this application, that the applicant be required to use porous asphalt or porous concrete in this development to reduce contamination of Grassy Flat Creek, and to also reduce runoff from rainfall and stormwater management. Grassy Flat Creek also runs through Butler Park nearby. I also request the Planning Commission require some type of written agreement that would be enforceable if the applicant is found to have had a detrimental impact on Grassy Flat Creek. I also request the city monitor for any such impact. I also have concerns about traffic flow in and out of this development. Rodney Parham is a busy street. Often in the commuter time of the mornings, traffic backs up headed east onto Rodney Parham from cars lining up at the adjacent Dunkin' Donuts. Often the line of cars at Dunkin' Donuts extends onto Rodney Parham itself. The sight lines of trying to turn left out of the proposed gas station across 5 lanes of traffic, 2 lanes each direction, plus the center lane, will increase the potential for traffic accidents. Also, during the afternoon commuter times, traffic backs up at the stoplight at Rodney Parham and Breckenridge headed west. This would further reduce the ability to turn left out of the proposed car wash during the afternoon commuter times, and thereby increase the risk of accidents. If the application is approved, regardless of the ultimate developed, I request any landscaping be environmentally friendly and not negatively impact sightlines for vehicles. This was to request a WebEx meeting invitation for video participation, which she couldn't do tonight. Thank you for consideration of my concerns and for your service to the city, Yolanda Dreer.
Thank you so much. We have 4 cards that are for. I will share their names. And then also will share the other supportive cards for the items. Dylan Ward, who's the applicant, is for item 11. Matt Landers, applicant for item 11. Brian Dale for item 11. Kirk Green for item 11. All in support. For item 16, all are for. Natalie James, Ernie Bryant Jr., Deshaun White, all are for. We had a motion. Director Pat.
Would it be appropriate to make a comment about item 11 now, or would you like me to wait?
No, yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and I've made it just in time, Mr. Green. I just wanted to say I'm so very supportive of this project. I have talked to Mr. Green on numerous occasions, as well as members of specifically the Breckenridge Neighborhood Association, which is the closest. and especially Eugene Matthews. They're very supportive. He's been so responsive to any and every concern, and I feel this is a good fit. He's going to be a good neighbor, and I wish more developers were like Mr. Green. He just went above and beyond.
Thank you so much, Director Peck. Any other questions from members of the board? There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We also have 2 emergency clauses. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, please read item 18 for the first time.
An ordinance to approve a plan and zoning development, establish a plan office district titled Custom Made Properties, POD, located at 2916 West 12th Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, first reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan and zoning development, establish a plan office district titled Custom Made Properties, POD, located at 2916 West 12th Street, second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan and zoning development, establish a plan office district titled Custom Made Properties, POD, located at 2916 West 12th Street, third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings for item number 18. Mr. Robert Alexander. Well, we don't see any questions. He shared that he only would speak if there was a need for questions. You have a question, Director Adcock?
Mhm. I would like staff, before I speak with Mr. Alexander. Mr. Collins,
Would you speak until I can't hear you?
I would like to ask staff a question before I do the applicant.
Yes, ma'am. Director Collins?
Mr. Collins, I appreciate the write-up you sent us on this, but it looked like there was something in here for everybody. And I noticed that you have denial on this. I had a concern about who is going to be living or staying in this facility. Can you explain that to us? I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I did it. I placed it on the push button accidentally. There was not a age designation in there. There was an age that they were looking for. And also they did not specify a specific, I think you asked a question about reentry in that type of scenario. Last week, there was not any of that presented that. It is just for the individuals, the residents that will stay there have access to the community center part of that development.
Is it a drug or alcohol rehab or reentry or,
That was not part of the application.
okay,
That
It
would
says
be a
it's a
question of the
temporary.
applicant specifically.
a temporary lodging? Does that mean it's going to be like a hotel? People will be stopping by there and taking a room?
Well, in any type of temporary lodging that's transient in nature, it's not a lease. So think of it more kind of like the hotel, but not necessarily that commercial standard. It's just for transient lodging.
Okay, and it says a neighborhood resource center. So what type of activities will go on in a neighborhood resource center?
Well, in the explanation, I can read what he wrote down for the resource center for life assistance, skills, training by the staff members completed in the conference room and media rooms, wellness assessments from health providers, and there was no details provided about what health partners that was going to come in there. And just an art gallery presentation that by local talent to present just stuff that's produced locally for art. It also says in there that the upstairs in the resource center will have office spaces that can be rented out and shared for the public, one-on-one meetings, daily workspaces, et cetera. Conference room for staff meetings, They're going to also offer GED classes and college prep classes and trade skill classes through partnerships with other nonprofits.
Okay, so this covers just about all types of zoning, correct?
Well, it's, I wouldn't say all types of zoning because there's other industrial and commercials that zoning that's not listed in that. But if you look for an area that a community center would have, it's not uncommon to have classes in a community center, meetings in a community center, that type of work. We provide some of those same things that are in here in our community centers for the public.
Why did your department say denial on this?
Well, as explained last Tuesday, it just seemed a little bit too intense. This is a single-family residential lot. They were looking to do quite a bit of uses on it and maximize the square footage of the lot and the building. So it was just the intensity of the development is why staff recommended denial.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
No, I think Mr. Collins covered it all. Thank you.
All those in favor, please say.
Director Hendricks.
Oh, Director Hendricks, sorry. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Director Hendricks?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I wanted to comment. I have visited with this gentleman on 3 occasions, and I think what he is about to build will help to enhance that community. We're right at 12th and Woodrow, and if anybody with good sense that lives in Little Rock knows what 12th and Woodrow is all about. I support it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Hendricks. There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item 19. 1920 were deferred. Madam Clerk, please read item 21.
How many nays? I heard. Director Adcock? No. Director Wyrick?
No.
An ordinance to declare the policy of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, that the investigation, citation, arrest, seizure, or prosecution of misdemeanor marijuana offenses by adults, its lowest law enforcement and prosecutorial priority, and for the first reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it.
An ordinance to declare the policy of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, that the investigation, citation, arrest, seizure, or prosecution of misdemeanor marijuana offenses by adults be its lowest law enforcement and prosecutorial priority. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to declare it the policy of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, that the investigation, citation, arrest, seizure, or prosecution of misdemeanor marijuana offenses by adults be its lowest law enforcement and prosecutorial priority. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. We'll start with Ms. DeShawna Dean.
My name is Deshana Dean. I just want to touch bases about the citation and arrest for marijuana. I don't want to get pulled over or have to go to jail for marijuana or have anything like that on my record for just because I might have a small amount of marijuana. I also feel our tax dollars should be spent on solving murders or arresting people that have more violent offenses.
Ms. Natalie James. Is she here? Dr. Patrice Bax.
Good evening. Wanted to take some time to first thank you guys again, allowing the opportunity for citizens to speak on this particular ordinance. You know, didn't I didn't choose for or against because, of course, there's some information that I would love to read up on. But one of the things that this does address is how it affects the youth again. Our young Black males and females in the communities that are underfunded, that need support in this area. And so when every time, and I want to be clear that I have no intentions to ruffle feathers or get under the skins of those who sit in the seats, but every time there's an opportunity to speak up for our young African-American minority youth, I'm going to be at the podium. And the reason why is because there's so much opportunity that we have to serve them, to give them resources. And so when we are looking at things like this that we know will have a direct effect on those youth, I would always bring attention to how we're going to solve, the problems that we talked about in the past, gun violence. If now we're talking about marijuana usage and offenses, what are we going to do to actually direct our resources to problems that's going to help them? So if it's, to make this a lowest law enforcement and it's not as big as a priority as other things, then that's great. But how are we going to make sure that we're focusing on giving them things that don't allow them or don't lead them to smoking weed? How are we going to make sure that we're putting things in their pathways, like community programs or like constructive things to do for them on the weekends, so that this is not even an option for them? So before we talk about, or not even before, as we're talking about what we're going to do to make policies in the city of Little Rock when it comes to prosecutorial priorities, I think we should also be talking about how we're going to put funds and resources into programs and opportunities that's going to help them so that they can figure out different ways, constructive ways to address their issues and their problems. Thank you.
Jacqueline Smith.
Good evening, board members. Good evening. I'm with Dr. Bax. She kind of took what I was going to say, and I'm not here either to ruffle your feathers or to, go against or for, but I'm with her on that. If we, I don't believe that the police are just out stopping people just for marijuana. Let me just put it out there. There are other reasons why they get stopped. If the marijuana is in the car, then by all means, I'm not for the bill. I am for it, but I'm against certain things and certain issues. I think that our kids are more affected because when they do get stopped, they do have marijuana. And is that the only citation that they receive? Then basically, yes. Then it does hurt them in the long run. And that helps, I'm here for kids' sake. And we kind of tag team in this community only for that. And it's not just African Americans, it's all Americans. And I say this only because whoever is in that particular car or that vehicle, if they get stopped and they get stopped with marijuana, do they get a citation? Yes. Can it be the lowest citation? It can. And that's what we're fighting for. And as Mr. Richardson bring the bill on, I feel what he's saying. He's been out here in this community a long time, dealing with this community and dealing with these kids. He needs some backing on this, and only because the community he sees is affected the most. And I see exactly where he's going, because you have a young lady here, she's 23, gets stopped with marijuana. She can't find a job. She can't get a job. She just can't get a job. And that's hurtful. As a mother, I'm a mother, there's several mothers, that's hurtful. But I do believe that you will make the right decision as to where this bill should be placed and if it should be implemented, and other programs as well. I believe that will be, that it will happen. So am I for the bill? Yeah, I'm for the bill. Am I against it? In certain instances, yes.
Thank you so much. Director Hendricks.
Richardson to expound on this just a little bit, because the 2 or 3 lines here is not saying much.
Yes,
Did you hear
ma'am.
me?
Vaguely. Could you restate it?
I'm asking that Director Richardson say a little bit about this, because the 2 speakers has interpreted a way that
Yes, ma'am. I heard
think you
you.
know what I'm talking about. Would you let him, allow him to speak for a couple of minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, come on.
Director Richardson.
I think Director Computers had his hand up for a question first.
Director Computers.
Go ahead.
I told my seatmate, Director Webb, I wasn't going to talk too much about this. I think we've talked about this twice before. I think the first time to the tune of about 9:45 p.m. when we had treatment providers as well as clients who were supportive of this. Director Hendricks, my main intent on this is to deal with the disparity with respect to usage and enforcement of marijuana arrests with respect to black and white users. And I think that in some cases, if we develop a cite and release program as opposed to arresting them, then we make it easy for young people to continue their education because they can lose a Pell Grant if you get these arrests on your record. It certainly makes it difficult to find meaningful and gainful employment. Certainly makes it difficult sometimes to find meaningful, gainful housing. And I just, in the event, Mayor, that somebody was going to ask me to say something, I pulled up an article that the Dallas DA and the judge among those who cite and release programs aimed at saving money and keeping people out of jail work. And critics say blacks, Hispanics unfairly targeted in marijuana arrests. Now, Dallas County criminal judge Nancy Mulder, she said these are typically young people between the ages of 17 and 22 who are just starting out in their lives. Then she began to see a pattern. She said, when you see people walk to your courtroom and all the people all the people of color, you start thinking there's a problem here. And an analysis of the cite and release case showed that a number of cases come from 2 Dallas police patrol sectors, Southwest and Southeast. Some of those are the most poorest places where people live. And broken down by race, this judge noted that 54% of those cited are black, 38% are Hispanic, and 8% are white. And one thing she did say, and I quote, one thing I know for sure is that people of color are not smoking marijuana more than Caucasian people. And that brings us to a larger social justice issue of who we are and are we over-policing certain neighborhoods. So to the extent that I want to direct the answer, not say anything, I think it's unfairly, it's an issue where we patrol certain neighborhoods certain ways, and I think that the enforcement of misdemeanor crimes, one, it has an unfair burden of our already understaffed police department. I think it costs us resources with respect to housing those folks in the county jail. It takes up valuable jail space that we consistently say we need to expand on our jails. And I know that when Chief Buckner was here, he said that there's nobody there for marijuana offenses alone, which I know is a fact. As Ms. Smith mentioned, my work in the community, there are people in the county jail right now for failure to pay child support. And having worked in the community, you learn a lot of things. There's somebody in there right now that I know personally that's in jail for failure to appear for a loitering charge. So we know certainly there are people over there in jail, in our county jail, taking up valuable jail space for marijuana arrests. And I don't want it to be couched or framed again by some of my colleagues. I'm not legalizing, I'm not calling for decriminalizing. I'm calling for how we police it and how we put on our priority list with respect to policing and enforcing marijuana arrests. We're not talking about your Tony Montanas and your Pablo Escobars or your Nino Browns or your New Jack City folks in here. We're talking about having an approach that makes sense. It's a policy that has an impact on us and our finances and our police department and our jail space. So with respect to that, Director Andrews, that was my purpose and my intent. I see you raise your hand. And I told Director Webb I didn't want to say anything about it because we've talked about this twice. I think we've talked it to death. Ma'am, Director Hendricks has her hands raised.
Director Hendricks.
The last comment is, will we have funding for what he's asking for?
Funding for what, Director Hendricks?
For what he's asking for. That I was wanting to satisfy the 2 speakers, because just to talk and there's no action behind it, it's a waste. Okay, thank you. I'm through. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Computers.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask the chief and then Tom some questions about this, if I can, Mike.
Chief Humphrey. Director Pierce, your question?
Thank you, Chief. Several questions, and you can answer me in order you want. One, generally, can you comment on this? Two, how would it affect your force in doing their duty to the city? And three, do you think that it would help, as Ken said, cut down the number of young people who are brought in for crimes? And then lastly, if I understand it correctly, this doesn't, as Ken said, doesn't decriminalize anything. It just lowers the priority. So you still have, Tom, on your record if something happens. So you can start out, and then I'm sure I'll have some more.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, directors, thank you. First of all, let me just say that you're absolutely correct. Anything that's in this document does not decriminalize marijuana. It doesn't decriminalize it. What Director Richardson is asking is that we make it a lowest priority. Well, what I want to establish here to the directors and to the citizens, the Little Rock Police Department has not arrested anyone physically for the sole purpose of small amounts of marijuana in several years, even under the leadership of my predecessor. As a matter of fact, we already cite and release. And there are those times when we have officers, and this is not something that I recommend, but there are those officers out there that they come in contact with an individual that may have a small amount, and at some point they might even ask that individual to destroy that by throwing it in the trash so that they won't have to write that person a citation, or that individual may not have to have that on their record. So we already do that. I've expressed that to Director Richardson numerous times. I came before the directors last year, expressed the same thing. We already do that, what he's asking. The problem is, I think with Director Richardson, he wants it documented. And I will tell you that there's a concern when you start prioritizing or listing what's a priority in the criminal code book. So why not make shoplifting a non-priority? Why not make speeding under 10 miles an hour not a priority? Why not make misdemeanor vandalism not a priority? When you start doing this, you're going to, I think, open a Pandora's box. I'll say this again, we already do this. We don't have it in writing, but you would be far-fetched to find any person currently in the Pulaski County Jail that is in there for sole purpose of being arrested for small amounts of marijuana. What I will say, we have no control if someone is issued a citation and they fail to take care of that citation and a warrant is issued for that individual. That's not the Little Rock Police Department's responsibility. That's that individual who didn't take care of that citation. So that's what I just want to clarify, that we have to be really careful of saying what's a priority. All crime should be a priority for a police department, but there are those that we do have flexibility in writing tickets or telling someone, maybe taking someone directly to their parent. Also, when you say this, there are going to be those individuals out here in the community that this is what they're going to hear. Oh, it's legal to smoke marijuana in the city of Little Rock. It's legal to possess marijuana in the city of Little Rock. Well, whatever your personal opinion is, my personal opinion can't overrule what the law states. Marijuana is a state and federal offense. So this is not just, we're not just talking state here, we're talking federal offenses. I understand it. There are people that are going to smoke marijuana. As a matter of fact, there are those kids out there that think it's a game to smoke marijuana. And that's their, I can't tell anybody how to raise their kid. I don't think it makes anyone a bad person. I don't think it makes anyone a hardened criminal. But at the end of the day, it is a violation of statute to be in possession of any amount of marijuana.
So, so how does this, in the end, how do you feel about us doing something like this? Does it help, hurt, or not make any difference to your?
We're already doing it, so it's not going to affect us either way because we've been doing business. I don't like to say business. We have been conducting our operation in this manner for several years now on site and release.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Go over.
Thank you, Chief Humphrey.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
And go over, if you wouldn't mind, please, the legal, what happens if someone is caught and gets a citation?
Well, Director, computers, a citation is as much an arrest as if you're chained and shackled and carried by people into a courtroom. I mean, an arrest is an arrest is an arrest. It's just one form. It's meant to recognize offenses that are not that serious, that don't necessarily mandate that we take somebody to the jail and let a release decision be made or that a bond decision be made. But it's a citation. If they plead to it and they're guilty, or if they plead guilty to it and they're fined, then it goes down as a conviction. I think the thing that impacted Director Richardson is that as late as a month ago, the Departments of Education were pointing out that some students are losing or cannot get student loans to get to schools because of marijuana convictions. They do not put the priority on it that they did at one time when it was, you know, I think you and I went to college at the time where you couldn't get through graduate school without having been around it. And it's not quite as loose as it was then, but it is a situation where it can cause somebody not to be able to do this. It is also a situation that can cause people to decide not to give them a job because if you do the right type of background check, you'll find that there's a conviction back there. And employers, it's a buyer's market in some way. They can say, why hire somebody with a conviction if I can get somebody that doesn't have a conviction? And I think that's where he was coming from. In terms of what does it do to the prosecutor? Nothing. The prosecutor's going to do what they wish to do. In terms of other crime, shoplifting, vandalism, that is a legitimate concern. The speeding under 10 miles over the limit has a ramification to it, and that is if you give tickets for that, then you've got to keep an enormous amount of records to show that you're not a speed trap like Damascus, Arkansas was at one time. But these other ones, they don't have that. I think the question for the board is, do we ever say this is a crime we do not wish to enforce as much? And if the answer to that is, I don't know, then I think Director Richardson's comment is, we know that kids don't get jobs. We know that kids have problems with loans. There are procedures where you can get these types of violations sealed from your record and stricken from your record. And in this day and age, you can have all the seals and all the strickens you want, and people are still getting the access to them.
Thank you.
Mayor,
We have next, before we get to you,
Oh,
Director
sorry.
Richardson, we got Director Vice Mayor Hines.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. You know, it occurs to me, Director Richardson, you and I are going to be on the wrong side of this. My take on it is this sends the completely wrong message from this body and the city as a whole to what's acceptable in our city. As I look back, it's been not too long ago that the state of Arkansas passed a medical marijuana statute. Put it on the ballot. If you want to smoke marijuana in this state, the state's provided a legal means and avenue to do that. You want to smoke marijuana and you're over 18, go get a medical marijuana card. It's not hard. The standard's been set pretty low and pretty broad. And if you say you can't afford it, then you shouldn't, then you can't afford the drugs on the street as well. So the other thing that the chief's talking about is this basically removes any discretion our LRPD officers have in the way he runs his department by codifying this. It's a huge mistake because it will be mistaken for it's okay to go smoke weed on the streets of Little Rock, Arkansas. And it's not. It's not the image we want. We don't want to tolerate the caravanning and all that. And it's going on. I've seen the videos of it. They're blazing up while they're caravanning. And if you tell me they're not, then I'm going to disagree with you. You know, at the end of the day, operating a motor vehicle is still illegal under the influence of marijuana or alcohol or any other drugs. So the other thing is this ordinance specifies prosecution of misdemeanor marijuana offenses by adults. Has nothing to do with children. A 17-year-old is not an adult yet. That'll be adjudicated in juvenile court and be sealed. We hope. I'm not done, Director Richardson. So to say that this is protecting the children is they shouldn't be doing marijuana. You know, it just sends the wrong message. And like I said, we provided a venue in this state. If you want to smoke marijuana, go get a medical marijuana card. I just think it sends the wrong message from this body as to what we're going to tolerate in this city. And it creates a slippery slope, and it removes the discretion for the chief and his LRPD officers to run their department in a manner that's judicious for them. That's all I have. I'll be voting against this.
Director Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Hines, I think you're absolutely right. We both have a different take on this. I don't see anywhere in this ordinance where it legitimizes or encourages marijuana use. I think what it does is it gives us an opportunity to figure out how we want to enforce it. And it's not to encourage it, but how we're going to enforce it. Not saying we're not going to enforce it. I think that's really disingenuous to say that we're not going to enforce it. It sends a message that it's okay to smoke weed in Little Rock. That is not the case. And whether or not somebody has resources, do it or don't do it, I understand that the world looks a lot different from the top down than it does from the bottom up. And caravanning did not become a problem until they got out of those boundaries. Caravanning can go on in Asher for a number of years. And then for the last 6 months, we're talking about caravanning. And I think that, Tom, you would agree with me that if we didn't have plea bargains, the courts would shut down right now. If we didn't have plea bargains, in most of these cases with poor people, they plea bargain out because they can't afford private attorneys. Not being dismissive of the public defenders, but they have tremendous workloads. So a lot of these cases, Tom, you would agree with me, if we took out plea bargaining right now, our court system was shut down. And it was not encouraging. And here's what I'm really confused about. If we say it's our approach right now, it's already our approach, why not codify it? Because it's our approach. We can selectively enforce it. I can get put on the same amount of marijuana as Director Webb. They can arrest me, make a cite and release her. It's our approach. What's the problem with codifying? We're already doing it, is what we say. Why not put the icing on the cake so that we don't have that selective option in terms of how we enforce it? I'm really puzzled by that. We say it's our approach. Chief Humphrey said it, Chief Buckner said it, so we're already doing it. Oh, we don't need that, we're already doing it. Where it could be selectively enforced. And I think if we have something in writing, some policy, some guiding legislation that takes that discretion, individual discretion out of the way, I think it's going to help our community as a whole. It's going to help our police department as a whole because they spend a lot of time taking folks and booking them, transporting them, booking them into the county jail. Times it could be better spent on all this violent crime that we've been concerned about lately, we've been talking about. So there's nowhere in there that it says it's okay to smoke weed in Little Rock. You're still going to be cited. You're still going to have to pay some consequences. So I just wanted to end with that, Mayor. I think that Director Hines, you're right. You and I both have different takes on this. I can tell you this, that in 2015, we had 408 marijuana arrests. 2016, we had 763. 2017, we had 802. 2018, we had 848. 2019, we had 743. 2020, we had 634 marijuana arrests. Let those numbers settle in for a minute. Let that set in for a minute. And think about our approach and what we're doing for long-term benefits and things that are having an impact on what we already see are disconnected adults and youth who are responsible, mind you, for a lot of violence in our crime in our community now. Unlike the 90s when we had the gangs red and blue was the color then. The color is green now. Pun intended. So may I move to approve? I move to approve.
Is that a motion? It's already been read 3 readings. Director Hendricks.
I'm
It's
wishing
already had
that.
3 readings. So Director Hendricks.
I was just going to suggest in the future, I would love for Director Richardson, the chief, the mayor, other board members to really sit down and look at what we're doing. Because had I not brought up this conversation, it would have just been there. And that's something that we have done for years. Sit and let things just pass. So, Director Richardson, I'm glad you brought this to the board, but had I not said something, this would have been forever. And I was appreciative to the 2 women that spoke. So that's what moved me to say that we need to talk about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the board? Director Wright.
Sorry. I recall when this came up before, and what I found disturbing about what I heard in the discourse was there seemed to be 2 different sets of information. I listened to his numbers about the people that were arrested, but then when you hear a presentation, it's like, oh, that's not happening, it's a low priority. And so I was slightly confused last time, and I'm slightly confused this time, but I just really do think that what he's asking here is not, should not send the wrong message, because it's not saying that it's not going to be prosecuted. It's not saying that. At least that's what I'm reading. It's just not going to be the priority. So Director Richardson, I will be supporting you.
All right, seeing no other questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it.
Roll call, Mayor, roll call.
Roll call.
We will do a roll call. We don't have to do all that, everybody. Just takes one. Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk.
Director Compuris? Director Phillips?
Yes.
Director Adcock?
No.
Director Hendricks?
Present.
Director Richardson?
Yes.
Director Webb?
Yes.
Director Peck?
Yes.
Director Wright? Director Wyrick?
No.
Vice Mayor Hines?
No.
Director Hendricks, would you like to change your vote?
Yes. It's yes.
Okay. Seven to 3.
Motion passes. We'll now move towards citizens' communication. Shayla Hooks.
Hello, Board. I'm coming here to address you again today because I am bothered that I have reached out to the leaders of the city of Little Rock and no one has provided a solution to my problem. I started emailing the mayor in September of 2020, the city director, Bruce Moore, and also Kevin Howard, the director of the housing department, in September of 2020 about my problem. That, I guess me emailing and voicing my problem ultimately landed me with a suspension. And I just want the city of Little Rock to know that every time I fill out paperwork, one of the questions are, have you ever been suspended? And I'm very bothered by that because the person that suspended me is Kevin Howard. And I've heard a few people at the city tell me that he's a contractor outside of the city, but he has a company that's operated under about 5 different names. He has 8 complaints, and I just find that a conflict of interest. How do you have someone like running a city department, handling millions of dollars, and he can't even handle his own business? He has a complaint from December of 2020 that he took $10,545 from a person named Emily Brown, I think, and he has yet to return her funds, has not built her home, but yet he has been able to suspend me, and no one will look into this. I'm wondering why not? What is the reason no one will look into the housing department and all of the problems and complaints they have? What is the issue? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hooks. Director Wright?
Yes, Mayor, I did want to follow up with Ms. Hooks on regarding this. I did visit with the city manager. I did submit a request on your behalf, but due to federal guidelines, I'm told that it would not be wise to shorten the suspension or remove the suspension. So I did want her to know I did follow through on that. And she does have the option to appeal, I believe, or to file with the feds.
Thank you so much, Director Wright. Director Phillips?
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any more citizen communication cards?
No, sir.
I would like
Well,
to.
1 second. Madam Clerk, do we have any?
There was one that had been submitted by email, but then they emailed back to request that it not be read.
All right. Thank you.
Well, with no more citizen communication, Mayor, I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
There's a motion to executive session. Is there a second? That's motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We'll now move into executive session. Wendell, if you will secure the room.
I came straight from an airplane. I was riding my bicycle 8 hours ago.
That's exactly why I called it.
Yep, that's not funny.
Mr. Moore and Mr. Attorney, if you all would please excuse yourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Director Peck, well, actually.